Hello, welcome back to Benny's Take. I'm your girl Benny, and today I'm excited to just sit down with you and talk about a topic that I've literally been seeing on my timeline time and time again, from male content creators, from female content creators, from everybody. Everybody's talking about this, and I was like, why not? I'm gonna go ahead and add my 2 cents. Matter of fact, I may have 2 or 3 cents, sometimes 5 cents to add. So before we get started, please go ahead and subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you always know when I upload, and please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you're excited, and let's go ahead and get started. So this topic is none other than submission in marriage. Now, I do want to start by saying that I am not married. But I aspire to be. Someday in my life I wish to be married, and so my opinion is coming from somebody on the outside looking in. And for those of you that are gonna come out here talking about you're not even married, what do you think you can say? Come and fight me. Come and fight me, because I have a brain like everybody else, and my opinion is not gonna kill nobody, so I'm gonna give it out. I'm also mindful because, like I said, I'm not married. So when I am married, maybe my opinion will change. Maybe my point of view will evolve, or whatever the case is. But as of right now, these are my thoughts, and I'm going to try to make sure that they're as cohesive, as clear as possible. But again, we should not ever make people feel as though that they cannot speak on something just because they're not in it. You know what I'm saying? Now, don't get me wrong. Some other people should really not speak on things when they're not in it. But I understand relationships. I'm in a relationship, so I can offer a little bit of, my perspective as to what I think, what I've read, what I've heard, what I've listened to, and everything in between. So, now that that's out of the way, go ahead and grab you some wine, some tea, some whatever you need to grab, because a lot of you are not going to like what I'm about to say. So the first thing that I also want to say is that this is being based off of, I guess, the biblical or the church's understanding of, submission. Wives, submit to your husbands, and husbands, love your wives. That's what we're basing this on, and we're going to talk about what submission is and what it isn't. So first things first, I just want to note that sometimes when we're having these conversations, most of us try to confuse submission with gender roles. Those are two different things. So gender roles is essentially what the woman should be doing when they're married versus what the men should be doing when they're married. I often think that debate on who should cook and who should clean is actually nonsensical, if you ask me. Because the reality is, again, I'm referring to Christians as far as the Bible. Nowhere in the Bible does it say wives shall cooketh or wives shall cleaneth. Nowhere does it say that. You know what I'm saying? So when we're talking about gender norms, we have to keep in mind the society in which we're living in. When some of these things were written, those were very different times. You know what I'm saying? Women were not working. Men were the ones that were in the marketplace, while the women stayed behind and did all of the things. My opinion on that is that the person that is skilled in cooking should cook. The person that is skilled in cleaning should clean. The person that is skilled with finances should manage the finances. Wherever your strengths are, that's what you should do in the marriage or in any relationship. Because if you come here and sit, I do like to cook, but let's suppose I did not, and you marry me and you're saying thou shalt cook it, and I cannot boil water to save my life. My friend, you are setting yourself up for failure. Because why? Especially if you yourself can cook. Just go ahead and cook. As you are cooking, maybe I will learn. Maybe, we'll start taking turns. But those are gender roles. Only matters as far as the couple itself. If you're good at cooking, cook. If you're good at finances, finance. If you're good at cleaning, clean. Somewhere in between meets together. This whole idea that the mother is supposed to stay with the children and then the dad is supposed to work. Well, in this society, everybody is working. You need at least, 2 people income to be able to manage, to actually live comfortably. So if everybody is working, how can we come together to take care of the kids? How can we come together to take care of the house? How can we come together to figure out cooking arrangements and cleaning arrangements? So again, the conversation has to make sense with the time period, with the context. It has to make sense with the economy. It has to make sense with all of these different things. So for us to just go online and be like, women should cook. I miss those days when women were cooking and men were providing. Like, yo, what if you have a better job as a woman? Can you finance some of the bills? You know what I'm saying? So that the gender roles then become dependent on the couple and whatever your needs are. That's just my opinion. And if you don't like it, come and fight me. In fact, come and beat me. You know, as Shayo would say, come and beat me. On the other side of that, we have submission. This, I'm referring to it because I'm a Christian. This conversation is usually around, you know, Christians, married or otherwise. Christians are always trying to figure out, like, what are we supposed to do? Are the girls submitting? Are the men leading? Like, what are we supposed to do? The Bible, at least from that verse that we're basing it on, I'm going to put the verse right here because I don't know it off the top of my head. Do not judge me, okay? Once I close this YouTube, I'll go read my Bible. Mind your own and worry about your own salvation. Do you understand? The verse essentially says, wives, submit to your husbands, and then husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. That's what the verse is, so this is what I'm basing that submission on. If we're gonna follow that, then yes, the Bible asks us women to submit, and then it asks men to lead. You are loving, I am submitting. Like, those are very different. We were called to do different things, men versus women. Now, one thing I will say, and I think this is where a lot of us, at least the conversation, this is where it gets tricky, when people start to put their own opinions and their own unnecessary interpretation. Because I believe from what God intended versus how it's actually being played out sometimes. Excuse the noise, the street is very busy. What God intended versus how people actually end up interpreting certain things, sometimes there's usually, you know, a little disconnect. A man being a head of the household and being a leader of the household does not mean dictatorship. It does not mean authority. It does not mean overpowering and silencing the woman. What it actually means, from the way that actually makes sense, if we're actually going to follow the example of Christ, what it actually means is service. Because if a man is to love a wife like Christ loved the church, Christ served the church. Christ actually died. Quite literally, Christ died for the church. Christ washed the feet of his disciples. Christ listened. Christ assigned everybody their significant roles, like different disciples that were doing different things. Christ served, okay? Christ didn't bully. Christ didn't disrespect. Christ didn't dishonor. Christ didn't I'm finna put my foot down because I'm that. Like, no. If the example is to love your wife as Christ loved the church, then your leadership is service, is what it is. And if you men come like that, I will submit. Because if you come here, especially some of you African people that be lacking common sense in your head, some of you people that want to be out here, you disrespect your wife. You never want to listen to what she's saying. You treat her like she's a second-class citizen, like she has no say, no autonomy over her own body, that you can just walk all over her left, right, and center. And your own claim, you beat your chest. Me, I'm the man of the house and I'm the leader of the house. Shame on you. Shame on you and your ancestors is what I'm trying to say. Leadership means service. It means you're actually serving your wife. And when you do that, she will not have any problem submitting. Because the way I'm here right now, I'm really tapping into my soft girl era. Like my soft girl, I just want to be soft. I want to just enjoy life. I want other people to do the things while I just sit and bask in it. So if you are at my service, you think me I'll fight you? No, I will not fight you. If you are my service, if your intentions, if your actions really align, if everything you do is considering how that affects me, how that affects my family, and you're the one that's like, you're carrying that burden of making sure that we're all okay, that we are all like, thriving, then why am I there to argue? A lot of us women, we're fussing and we're arguing with this because a lot of young men are lacking leadership the way leadership is supposed to be. A good leader considers us. A good leader considers the team. A good leader is not self-serving. And a lot of y'all men out here want submissive women, and you lack common leadership. Common sense of leaders you lack. But you want to submit. My friend, if I backhand you. My perspective is that submission is a beautiful thing if you are with a person that's viewing his leadership as if it's service. You know that they're doing everything that they can to honor you, to protect you, to provide for you. And I'm not just talking financially. I'm talking about providing the emotional safety of the house, where your wife or your woman just feels like comfortable that they can just be their authentic, their 100% selves. Like, when you provide that, nobody's gonna argue with you on submission. If you are doing what you need to do, hey, somebody that's safe, that's secure, will not fight you on submission. They will not fight you on being like, oh, but then like I'm trying to do, like, you do. Let me sit over here and relax, sip a glass of wine, you do the things, and I'll like support, I'll do my share. You know what I'm saying? So let's really rephrase this thing. It doesn't mean it's my way or the highway. That's not what that means. Submission, leadership, it's service, and it's also mutual. You know what I'm saying? Like, I submit to you the same way you submit to me. So like, loving your wife means submission too. Because when Christ loved the church, he literally submitted his life to die on the cross. It is mutual. It is definitely not an invitation for you to disregard the other person. It's not an invitation for you to come over here and start manhandling me. Why are you trying to manhandle me? The reality is, when it's done right, when you're a true leader, that service, like, that's a lot, which is then you need your helpmate, which is then why you need your person to support you, so that you guys are a partnership and you guys are doing life together. So when it's done like that, absolutely, I have no problem, submitting. But if you want to come over here and start manhandling me and stressing the bejesus out of me, I beg. Thunder go fire you. And usually what I've seen on my timeline is just like people going back and forth, confusing gender roles with submission, and then talking about submission on some like, what y'all talking about? Where y'all getting that? In what world do you think that's gonna work? The reality is, the more you silence your wife, you silence your partner on some like, I'm a man of the house, like, that's building resentment. And there is nothing more dangerous than a resentful woman. Because when your baby toe is missing, because you're out here yelling, trying to like bully people up and down, when your baby toe goes missing, don't look at how you're the leader of the house. Go find it. Oh my gosh. But that's it, y'all. Those are my thoughts. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know down below what you think. Again, like I said, I'm not married. All these are coming from just like looking from the outside. I hope that in my marriage, that I have the beauty that is submission and leadership, that I'm just like happy, at ease, taken care of, soft, so that I can glow, so that my shoulder is out here doing this and that and then that. You know what I'm saying? So like, I just want that for myself. So if my opinion changes in the future, I'm gonna turn on this camera and tell you guys that my opinion has changed, or whatever the case is. But until then, this is what I know. Leadership is service. It is vulnerability too. We can add that as well. You have to be like vulnerable and recognize your strength, recognize her strength, all of the things. It is mutual. It is not dictatorship. It is not bullying. It's not, it's like a lot of pressure. It's love, it's sacrificial. It's so many beautiful things, and we really need to lean into that. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so that you always know when I upload. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.